There are a lot of different game genres to love, but those who appreciate thinking through their combat options and experiencing massive stories surely love RPGs. Some systems may be lacking in the RPG department, but that isn't the case for the PS5, and that's especially true when it comes to quality. Since the RPG genre is so varied, you might prefer one style over another, and luckily, it's easy to highlight the many styles available. Thanks to all the power the PS5 boasts, some of the best RPGs on the console are also some of the best looking games available right now. Number 1, Final Fantasy VII. Serving as a modern update to the 1997 classic, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade brought one of gaming's most iconic cities to life in ways many longtime fans hoped we might one day see. Midgar is so well realized that Square Enix can be forgiven for dedicating the entire first game in the remake trilogy to its domain, featuring a smart, action based combat system that weaves in plenty of what makes the turn based classic Final Fantasy VII work so well. Final Fantasy VII Remake toes the line between old and new in ways which largely satisfy both audiences. The excellent visuals shine on PS5 in ways that the PS5 version of Remake couldn't quite match, and the inclusion of the new Yuffie centric chapter makes Integrate a compelling package. Number 2, Cyberpunk 2077. A rough launch gave this one a rocky start, but it's hard not to suggest Cyberpunk 2077 now. Between the ample updates and excellent expansion, Cyberpunk 2077 has largely left behind its initial shortcomings, delivering on a rad promise of a fittingly cyberpunk world to lose yourself in, with robust skill systems and a rock solid storyline. Playing Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation 5, you'll have a fairly smooth time of things. Make sure you go in with the Phantom Liberty expansion installed. It adds a robust overhaul to many of the core mechanics. Number 3, Elden Ring. Elden Ring takes the steep challenge and slam dunk atmosphere of other From Software games, applies it to an open world, and gives players the widest canvas of go forth in whichever direction. Be amazed that the creators of Dark Souls have yet delivered. The world of Elden Ring is hauntingly beautiful. The music is gorgeously melancholy. The combat system is sublime. It's everything a Souls like fan would hope for and more. Unless the subgenre really isn't your cup of tea, Elden Ring's a must play. Number 4, The Witcher 3. Much like another game on this list, The Witcher 3 can often feel like it will never fade away. Geralt's quest to find Ciri and protect her from the Wild Hunt has been a love of RPG fans for years. The draw to this game is its massive and winding story filled with countless side quests. Or, if you're the card playing type, Gwent, you do have some control over Geralt's choices and dialogue options, allowing you to tailor your playthrough to what you think Geralt should do. Well, more than tailor it, you are shaping the fate of the world in ways both sweeping and small. Number 5, The Elder Scrolls 5. Skyrim. Skyrim is eternal. If you're an Elder Scrolls fan prior to its release in 2011, you'll doubtless recognize the difference in mainstream perception of the franchise before and after the dragon centric chapter stormed the gaming world. Morrowind was reasonably popular, Oblivion turned plenty of heads. Skyrim was a paradigm shift. There's just something about that setting. The snow capped mountains, the majestic scope, Jeremy Soul's finest, we'd say, the way the game felt so alive in so many ways back then and still manages to impress to a decent degree today. The amazing modding community has done a lot of the heavy lifting in keeping Skyrim relevant through the years, but even if you play it on its own, the game's magical. Number 6, Octopath Traveler 2. 2018's Octopath Traveler introduced us all to the HT2D style, a retro engine that works exactly as the name suggests. It's been used at Square Enix several times since to wondrous effect. But while Octopath Traveler looked great and had some equally great ideas, it fell a little short in some ways. Enter Octopath Traveler 2, the 2023 sequel that's got it all in spades. Fantastically charming characters, we're partial to Porticio, but they're all grand. A clever evolution of an already nifty turn-based battle system and content galore, not to mention a sensationally eclectic soundtrack. We hope Octopath Traveler 2 doesn't get lost in the shuffle of time because it's a blast. Number 7, Persona 5 Royal. If you want an RPG that is going to impress you through its style, music, and gameplay, all in unique ways, Persona 5 Royal is an experience you need to have. It's already become known as one of the greatest RPGs ever made, so of course it had to be on this list. Controlling Joker, you play through this half social simulator, half dungeon crawler RPG while you try to balance school, friends, and the thievery of people's hearts. The unique blend and balance of gameplay mechanics ensures Persona 5 Royal never gets stale, despite its nearly 100-hour runtime. Number 8, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake, continuing Cloud's journey. This time, the party will explore the world beyond Midgar. Rebirth transitions the series into an open world structure where you can explore different areas at your leisure, which provides a nice degree of freedom compared to the fairly linear structure of the first remake. Speaking of which, there's tons of optional and side content to do in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, not least of all the Gold Saucer, where you can partake in different minigames. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth provides an expansive recreation of the original Final Fantasy VII, offering a new take on a classic that doesn't fail to deliver. Number 9, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. A lot of people are fans of all those anime fighters that come out, but crave a deeper experience, and Dragon Ball Z Kakarot provides exactly that. You can experience the Dragon Ball Z story and even some of the aspects of Dragon Ball Super in a single game. Rather than mindlessly slapping buttons, you'll have to carefully build your character, decide on special attacks, and even manage items in the middle of battle. The combat isn't as deep as some other RPGs, but the ability to experience the Dragon Ball Z story in its glory is likely more than enough of a bonus to make up for that. Number 10, Final Fantasy 16. If you're looking for something without super deep RPG mechanics, Final Fantasy 16 may be a good place to start. While it may be simplistic on the RPG front, its fulfilling combat and story will pull you through the game. Clive's adventures in Valistia are a breath of fresh air for the Final Fantasy series, but fans of the previous games will still have tons to appreciate here. The mature story and characters present in Final Fantasy XVI set it apart from other games in the series, but it still has that classic Final Fantasy feeling that connects all the games together. Number 11, Diablo 4. If you want a dungeon crawling RPG with a long history in the genre, you need to try Diablo 4. Unleashing you in a massive world after you decide upon your character of choice, it falls onto you to explore, slay enemies, and find better loot wherever you can. The gothic and medieval setting might appeal to you, but it is important for people to know that this game is played from an isometric perspective. As long as that doesn't bother you, you will have a massive game, dark story, and even darker dungeons to comb through. Number 12, Persona 3 Reload. Persona 3 Reload is a complete remake of the original PS2 game. Almost every single aspect of the original has been updated in some way. From beautiful new cutscenes, new voice acting, refined combat and exploration, and new music. Whether you played any of the many Persona 3 versions before, or if this is your first go as the leader of Seas, Persona 3 Reload is the best way to experience this game story. While it may not have the female protagonist from Persona 3 Portable, the audio, visual, and gameplay enhancements more than make up for it. Number 13, Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a deeply immersive versatile RPG with a vast open world to explore. You play as the Arisen, a hero with the power to summon pawns from beyond the rift to aid you in battle. Traveling in a party of up to 4, you will explore the world battling fearsome creatures like the dragons, griffins, and minotaurs. Dragon's Dogma 2 has several unique mechanics that set it apart from your traditional open world RPG. With the pawn system, you can summon other players' characters to battle with you. If they happen to know about the area you're exploring, they'll offer a helping hand as well. This robust system makes exploring the world extremely immersive and downright fun. Number 14, Tales of Arise is, as of this writing, still Bandai Namco's most recent entry in the beloved Tales of franchise. It's also one of the best. With a loftier budget to back up its grand themes of systematic oppression and self-realization, the game sets the spotlight on Alphenancione, a vengeful former slave and someone who belongs to the race of his oppressors. As they each grow as individuals, they grow closer as friends and eventually more. It's a good story with a strong supporting cast, but many RPG fans think combat first and foremost when it comes to the Tales of label. The battle system in Tales of Arise can reasonably be criticized as overly tanky, but apart from that, it's solid stuff. Attacks are swift, combos are meaningful, magic is useful, and it's actually kind of fun to traverse the overworld between encounters, something that can't be said for other recent games in the series. Number 15, Stellar Blades Katot has revolved in large part around the developer's decision-making process regarding its protagonist's interesting attire, but look beyond all that, and it's a pretty good game no matter where one lands on that stuff. The story isn't particularly engaging, but the combat mechanics are rock solid. It's a fun game through and through. We love Stellar Blade's keen use of the PS5, DualSense controllers, delightful haptic feedback. We love the soundtrack, we love the graphics. In short, we love a lot about this action RPG, even if those weak spots are rather pronounced. It's a worthwhile pickup.